We are a country that is admired all over the world. Ever since Magna Carta, centuries ago, we've been a country that have enjoyed better freedoms, better liberties, better rights than virtually anywhere else in the world. And of course, that's why we are a democracy. In fact, we invented the very concept of parliamentary democracy. And on May the 1st this year, nearly all of the English county council elections are due to give you the opportunity to vote for really important stuff. You know, who runs the roads, the potholes, who's in charge of adult care, who's in charge of children with learning difficulties. This stuff matters. I simply could not believe the rumour when I heard that the Labour government, despite any manifesto commitment, want to completely change the shape of local government, and that is now being used by the Conservative Party, who in fact run most of the county councils, as a reason to cancel the elections. No, I'm not making it up. Over half of the county council in Britain have said, because these changes are coming, we want the elections cancelled on May the 1st. It looks like about 10 million of you who would have had the right to vote on that day will not be able to. I think this is absolutely monstrous. We haven't heard a big debate about it because both Labour and the Conservatives agree. They are terrified of the rise of reform. They know just how well we're going to do on May the 1st, and they've cancelled the elections in many of our strongest areas. Well, I promise you, we will fight those that are still up. We will do well, but I'm pretty angry. This denial of our democracy is something that is fundamentally un-British, anti-British, it's undemocratic, and it shows how rotten the whole system is now in British politics. There is no doubt in my mind, when you look at it, that Britain is broken, and Britain needs reform.
Nigel Farage delivered a scathing speech, not only insulting the Labour Party, but also launching a direct attack on the Conservative Party, accusing both of conspiring to undermine British democracy. He asserted that Britain was once a country admired worldwide since the time of Magna Carta, with superior freedoms, democracy, and human rights compared to almost any other nation. However, according to Farage, these values are now being systematically destroyed by the ruling parties. Farage specifically targeted the Labour government, accusing them of plotting to completely reshape local government without any prior commitment in their manifesto. He framed this as an act of betrayal against voters, a devious move designed to centralise power in the hands of the government. In his view, Labour is not only incompetent, but also secretly manipulating the political system to maintain control, disregarding the will of the people. Yet Farage did not stop there. He also lambasted the Conservative Party for colluding with Labour to cancel the county council elections scheduled for May 1st. He pointed out that over half of Britain's county councils, mostly run by Conservatives, have used the excuse of upcoming changes in governance to call for the elections to be scrapped. He labeled this move as monstrous and authoritarian, arguing that it is clear evidence of the corruption at the heart of the political system. Farage insisted that both Labour and the Conservatives are terrified of the rise of Reform UK, knowing that if the elections proceed, his party will achieve significant success, threatening their political monopoly. Therefore, according to Farage, the two parties have colluded to silence voters and suppress the democratic process. He called this an outright betrayal of Britain, a fundamentally undemocratic act, and a clear sign that the British political system is rotten to its core. Speaking with visible anger, Farage vowed to continue fighting against the political establishment's manipulations and to expose their deceitful tactics. He claimed that Britain is now in a state of serious decline, in desperate need of comprehensive reform to restore true democracy. In his view, only Reform UK can bring about real change, and put an end to the corrupt political game that Labour and the Conservatives have maintained for years.
This government is all about growth. Of course, there isn't any growth at all at the moment, and many would say that actually the national insurance rises, new employment legislation, the upping of the minimum wage pretty much guarantees that when the 1st of April comes and much of this kicks in, that we're really going to be in a tough spot. But no, the Chancellor has been off to Davos and come back a new woman, and we're going to have a third runway at Heathrow Airport. Well, at least that's a decision, I suppose, because we spent the last 50 years debating whether we ought to do it or not. But one of the things I found really interesting was, following on from Keir Starmer's speech a couple of weeks ago about AI and new technologies, Rachel Reeves had this to say about new tech today.
We are at the forefront of some of the most exciting developments in the world, like artificial intelligence and life sciences. We have opened up our planning system to build new infrastructure, like onshore wind farms or data centres driving the AI revolution.
And of course, housing. This government says it's absolutely determined to build 1.5 million homes during the course of this Parliament. Interestingly, that was the similar target for the last Conservative government that was in, although I have to say with housing, and we'll deal with it separately perhaps, but even if we do build 1.5 million homes, that won't even be enough for the number of legal migrants that come over the course of the next 5 years. But will growth return? Are these proposals bold enough? Will it turn things around? Give me your thoughts, please. Tweet #Farage on GB News or email farage@gbnews.com.
Nigel Farage is back on television, and this time he's taking aim at Rachel Reeves. In his latest media appearance, the former UKIP leader and GB News mainstay lambasted Reeves' economic stance, arguing that her policies lack credibility and have already unsettled the markets. This latest round of political skirmishing underscores the deepening chasm between the government's grand promises and the realities of an economic landscape that, despite political rhetoric, refuses to conform to Whitehall's optimistic forecast. For months now, Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government has been hammering home a singular message: growth, growth, and more growth. Ministers assure us that the economy is moving in the right direction, that the UK is on the path to prosperity, and that a brighter economic future is within reach. But as Farage and others have pointed out, these proclamations appear increasingly detached from reality. The economy isn't in freefall, but neither is it accelerating at the pace the government insists. Growth remains sluggish, and households continue to feel the pinch of a cost of living crisis that is far from over. Meanwhile, Labour's response to the economic malaise has been to double down on major infrastructure projects, with Rachel Reeves voicing support for plans that include a controversial expansion of Heathrow Airport. The proposed third runway has long been a point of contention, drawing ire from environmentalists and economic skeptics alike. Reeves, in making the case for the project, has unwittingly rattled investors who fear further disruption to an already uncertain financial landscape. Sir Keir Starmer's Labour has spent recent weeks attempting to establish itself as the party of competence and forward-thinking leadership, particularly in the realm of artificial intelligence. Starmer's recent AI-focused speech was an attempt to portray Labour as tech-savvy, progressive, and ready to embrace the future. Yet his shadow chancellor's misstep with the market suggests that the party still struggles with the finer points of economic reassurance. The lesson here, reassuring global markets, is about more than just ambition. It's about credibility, something Labour is still working to prove. At the heart of the political battleground is housing, an other area where government promises seem to stretch credibility. Starmer's government continues to dangle the pledge of 1.5 million new homes, yet skepticism abounds over whether such numbers are remotely achievable. Planning constraints, local opposition, and economic headwinds make these targets appear more like convenient sound bites than serious policy commitments. Farage, ever the populist, has seized on this conundrum. His rhetoric appeals to those who see both major parties as locked in a cycle of empty pledges and unrealistic policies. While he remains a divisive figure, his ability to tap into public frustration remains a potent force. Whether his latest broadside against Reeves will have a lasting impact is debatable, but it's a reminder that, in the volatile world of British politics, the battle over economic credibility is far from settled. As we edge closer to the next general election, both Sunak and Starmer face the same challenge: convincing the British public that their visions for growth, housing, and economic stability are more than just lofty aspiration. With figures like Farage ready to pounce at any misstep, the political road ahead remains fraught with uncertainty. Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment below, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join our Telegram group.